Hello, we are back. Sound design 14. I think it's 14. It's going to be really hard to keep track. I'm going to have like some sort of piece of paper with the number written down over there so I don't forget. No, I'm pretty sure it's 14. And today I wanted to talk about resonators again. And I know I talk about resonators a lot, but these are two resonators that, first of all, you can find if you go to the reverb and resonance folder. Two that I don't think I've talked about, and that's resonators and spectral resonator. By the way, resonators, I'll just drag and drop this here, and then spectral resonator. So this spectral resonator, I believe it was a new device with Ableton Live 11, and resonators, I believe it's like one of the legacy devices, or at least it's been here for a while, and actually I believe going way back, like Ableton Live 7, maybe it's even been here even well before that. But in any event, I've been playing with white noise a lot, and white noise I started playing around with a lot when like when I would work or do any sort of activity. I would have like ambient music on in the background, and eventually it's almost like I was getting sick of it. Like I didn't want anything tonal. It's almost like I just wanted a sound texture that I could almost like listen to without even listening to it, if that makes any sense, because I just needed a sound, but I didn't want it to be like tonal music. And so any event, I'm dropping this analog on here. And by the way, my analog may be set up differently to yours, but I only have this upper row activated right now. So this oscillator is being fed into this filter, which is being fed into this amplifier, and this is what we're hearing. In the amplitude envelope, the sustain is all the way up because I just want it to be full volume for as long as I want it to be. And I'm going to give it an attack maybe of like 444 milliseconds. And even though release won't matter, I'll just give a release anyway. Coming over here to the oscillator panel, I'm going to use noise because we're playing with noise, white noise. And I'm using analog because I would either use analog or operator for this. Analog because it's like supposed to be more like analog synthesizer-y, meaning like its filters are unique and they have more color. I figured it would just be better to use this. And when I've used operators, white noise, which just to show you really quickly, I'm going to close this. I don't know if it even lets me drop an operator here. No, it just replaces it. But if I were to drop an operator on a blank area, yeah, it's right here, white noise, in case you wondered. And for some reason, when I play this, sometimes in operator, I get like little clicky clicks, and I found that I just prefer to use analog for this reason. Too much info, but kind of not, because this is like about sound design. So if you're really interested in sound design, like you will pay attention if there are any discrepancies between white noise and operator and analog. And then for you theorists out there, you can do you can play around with white noise and do all of this stuff. Even if you were to just drop a sample of white noise into a sampling device such as Ableton's sampler or simpler. But in any event, we're in analog, and going to move this down here. So basically, we have in the filter section a low-pass filter. And in fact, I'm actually just going to turn it off so we have no filter because I want to demonstrate this better. So if we go to like EQ and filter and drop an auto filter, the auto filter is great because if you weren't using a synthesizer that gave you white noise and all you had was like a piece of white noise on an audio track, you would be able to get a filter through using auto filter. So if you were just wondering, So again, you've got the filter types down here, and you've got this low pass filter. So if we, let's double click here, and let's just push duplicate a bunch of times, zoom in, push B for pen tool. It doesn't matter where we go, because it's going to sound the same at any note because it's white noise. Click legato, click play. So the lowest frequencies are here, going all the way up to the highest. This cuts everything out. So let's leave it at 444. This 555 and above would have been too bright, and 222, because I like the angel numbers. Drop a like if you like or have even heard of angel numbers. 444 is the king of the angel numbers. Okay, we're getting to... The YouTube algorithm says you're getting a little bit too hippy-dippy. Might want to turn it back, or we will push it out to 10,000 less people. Okay. So we're on this low-pass filter. You've got a 12-pole. Ooh, I like that. 24-pole. Kind of almost gives it a little bit of like a wave on a beach, but I kind of want it more like a spaceship room. So okay, why did we do this? Well, I guess I wanted to show you this sound first, I guess, which is one of the videos on my channel that got a lot of views, was playing around and making these atmosphere sounds. What I want to do is something a little bit different. I'm going to click stop. We've got that nice release. So something that I noticed is, white noise, just to give you a little bit of an idea here, just to show you what white noise looks like visually. So if we go back into instruments and drop an analog on here, and we get a spectrum, knock down the octave, knock it down again. Doesn't matter. So you see all these frequencies, right? You see them go from, this is at D note, this is at 73 hertz, this is a really nice D note. And if we lower this frequency, we'll see we're lowering these higher frequencies, right? Because we have a low pass filter, it's that one we were just using. So we can bump the cutoff frequency there. So you see all these delicious frequencies here, right? Okay. Now, if we were to go into here and we were to... So before I go to the white noise, with this square wave, and these are all harmonics that are related to D, and they skip every other harmonic. So if we were to put it on a saw wave, we would get more of these. If you take a listen, see, it's like every single one. But if we do white noise, it's all of them. See, all of them at the same... I'm going to lower this frequency so it doesn't kill our ears. See that? So it's like every single one. That's why it's not tonal. But white noise is really good. I'm just going to dial it into taste with frequency and resonance. White noise is really good when you feed it through resonators. I'm just going to close this out because we don't need it. I like to put the sharp pole here, just so because the white noise will give you stuff down here, which is just not good for speakers, and it eats your headroom. So the first one is the resonators. This one's been around for like a really long time. And I'm going to take the dry wet all the way down to 0, which basically means we're bypassing this, which means you're hearing 0 of the resonator. This would be only resonator, and again, so Hear that? I'm going to turn this gain up. Now we have a filter, which we can turn off. We don't really need it. But it's only going to be one note. Why? Because there aren't multiple notes. Every note is the same with white noise because it's every harmonic possible, every single frequency, full volume. That's just what white noise is. Now with this resonator, we're basically running this through a resonator device, and we can sculpt it right here. This resonator device is probably best used over spectral resonator. This resonator device is best used when you're just going to have a sound, you're just going to run it through this resonator, and you're not trying to like play it on a keyboard, because this resonator wants you to sort of pick a bass note, as we'll see. Not like a bass, like, but like a bass, like, and then we're gonna build a chord off of it. That's kind of how you would use resonator. So right now at 0 dry, at alt dry, it's just this. I'm gonna give it a little bit more frequencies, just so we have more things to play with, more frequencies to play with, and I'm gonna start bringing this up. And again, all wet, it's just there. Now that's a little bit too bright. I'm gonna bring it down. So you can get pretty unique sounds. I'm gonna lower this frequency here. I'm gonna move up the decay so it's longer. I'm gonna turn this filter on and put on the low pass, just so it's not like avoids some of the higher annoying frequencies. And I like this A. And again, I can dry wet it back. But I like this because it's pushing lots of frequencies through this resonator, so it's really letting it sing. So now we're going to use these pitches, these 4 pitches, kind of like how we used the chord device. So I'm going to throw a 7 for a perfect 5th and listen. That sounds nice. What's next? Let's do 14. 21, just going up by 7s. 28. Now we can't go up any higher. But now we have an octave above 24. So we've got this really great frequency. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. I'm just going to say analog 1, and I'm going to say analog 2. Close this down. So right here we have the same thing. Sounds amazing, right? But if I want to like play it up and down, I can't do that, because this resonator is always going to give me this A note unless I change it, but it won't change dynamically with what I play. And all of these pitches I've dialed in, so this thing won't change, okay? And neither will this. This won't change either, because any note I play, white noise is going to be the same note. It doesn't matter if you play way below or way up high. So how would we do this here? Well, we would do something a little bit different. We would use spectral resonator. So basically, we pretty much went over everything with this. The only thing to note is there is a mode A and a mode B, so it will just sound different. So here's A, B. Now you say, well, that sounds kind of crappy, but if we tune this differently, we might get like better sounds. Color, how bright it is. Whatever, we don't want resonators. What we want is we want spectral resonator. Spectral resonator allows us to play it across the keyboard, and that's done with this internal and MIDI. So if you're just trying to run white noise through here and you're trying to just use it as a different type of like more enhanced resonating device, because this came out with like Ableton Live 11, now we've got this. Now note that dry wet is already enacted 100%. See? Now you might think, oh, well, this sounds so much lamer than that other one. So here's what you want to do. First of all, I'm going to click another note, same. Because it's just the spectral resonator just getting this same old device. But if we go to MIDI and we choose MIDI from, what is our track, Analog 2, it's really low. Let's put poly so we can play multiple notes. Let's lower the transpose. Push out the decay. It's too much. These are just like sort of take down the extreme highs and extreme lows. So we can bring in some of the other stuff, which is really just if you want some dry wet. But I found like you're basically playing it here. See, it's too loud, so I'm going to keep this frequency down this way. Now, we could actually go into and play this saw wave. That actually sounds really good. Wow, in this case, the saw wave actually sounds better than the white noise. So, again, things I like to put on chorus. Hear that? Lower the mod rate a little bit till it gives you a nice... Lower the dry wet just to see if you like it better. And if you could look at this thing, it will update. I guess you might need to like look at it as you use it. Unison. Listen how much thicker that got. So you're basically like playing spectral resonator. I never knew it was this good. Now, if I take it back to internal, it's just gonna play one note. Now, you could like take it all the way down here for this, but it's just one note. So, take it down again. Yeah, I mean, why not be able to play it? So yeah, that's spectral resonator. And if we put it back on noise, sounds good, but this sounds better. But now we need to know what square sounds like. I think saw sounds a little bit better. You can play with the frequency now. Actually sounds amazing. Like, I'm gonna save this. By the way, this is how you would save a preset. So I'm gonna highlight analog. I'm pushing right arrow, and I'm highlighting all of these, and I'm gonna push Command G. I'm then going to open this up, and I'm gonna call it analog resonator 2, because I think I made an analog resonator 1. Like, I really enjoyed using this. Okay, and now we're gonna click this little like save button. And I'm going to push return. And now if you look over here, because I'm sure you guys are probably thinking, unless you already knew, because it's not like it's all experts watching the channel, you know, it's a lot of people like learning a lot of this stuff. It's now saved under my instrument rack. So a lot of this stuff is going to be in the instrument rack folder, because the instrument rack allows you to not only save an instrument, but allows you to save any other devices. And because spectral resonator is like, so don't get me wrong, like we could come in here and we could see these are just analog devices, you know what I mean, like nothing else. Like, so let's play this guy. Oh, that sounds pretty great. Pulseman, whatever the hell that is. Okay, so yeah, back over here. Love that sound. That's a great sound. I'm thinking about all sorts of little modulations. We can do that. So in any event, yeah, it's an instrument rack, and the way you would find it is, so, you know, most of the time we're in these categories up here. Okay, this is where instruments are, audio effects, blah, blah, blah. But then down in places, if you go to user library, okay, you go down to presets, you know, these are where your presets get saved. So it's instruments, instrument rack, and then that analog resonator 2. You can take this, drop it on any device, and then, yeah, you have it. So that's very, very convenient. So we've got all these like interesting sounds that we've made. Look at this guy. Let's see what this one sounds like. Oh, that's just some nice white noise. Yeah. So yeah, I sort of figured out that that was like really interesting. That was like really fun. Let's see what this one is. Yeah, so this is using the resonators, but we can't play it because every time we play this, so even if we went into here and we did like the saw square, it's too loud. It's like more ambient-y. So in any event, you can play with this note. Sounds good. It's good, but you know, the resonator's always going to be outputting an A note. Mix this between the noise and the resonator. So this is good if you're really just trying to get like a unique texture. I mean, you can go into here, but each time you hit a different note, like you're still hearing this thing on top of it. So this is what it sounds like with no resonator. So you're only getting that A note with all the resonators on top of it. So this one's better if you're going to put something through it that's not going to change, that you're not trying to play across a keyboard. You just kind of want a really nice sound texture. Let's come over here and do high pass. High pass 24. Yeah, that doesn't really work as well. So let's get out of this. Coming back into here. So now we can play this all nice. Because we've got the spectral resonator in here. We've got this. So right here, this is how it was before. It's this no matter what notes we play. But we want to be able to play it, so we click the MIDI. Make sure we click our correct track. See, it's analog 2 coming from this track. This lets you know you could have like multiple of these set up on like different tracks, and each one has its own MIDI from, so you'll have like 3 different tracks outputting like different sounds. You may want to click on Wander. I don't know, I like Chorus because it's got that wow, like that, and then Granular. You have to really play around with this mod rate and the pitch modulation. Oh wow, that's interesting. Let's move it up. That's really weird. Whatever, I like chorus. What I found is interesting is like, look at these harmonics up here. You can modulate that with LFO, but I'm not going to do that. So yeah, this thing's really cool. And then no matter where you're playing, if you play this transpose, it's a nice bass. You can come into the analog, make the voices mono. Something else I was thinking about before we get going here, because I wanted to show that, is... Where was the new track I just made here? Where was it? Okay. I'm going to look for a percussion sound. I'm going to go to samples, and I'm just going to type perk. And I want something that sounds kind of like bongo-y. These don't sound like percussions. They sound like weird synths. Look at all this. Where did this come from? You can't hear these, so I'm going to try to... I'm actually, forget it. I'm going to do bongo. I want something that sounds like a bongo. Okay, this is good. So I'm just going to drag it right here. It's going to put it into a sampler. I'm going to have to record enable so I can hear it. I'm going to zoom in just to make sure. Now, I'm basically just going to play this at one pitch, which means that we can use our good old friend resonators for this, because the resonator device is good when you don't need to be changing pitches, because it's only going to give you one thing. So let's put the resonator here and let's see what it sounds like. Let's play around with mode B first. Dry, 0. By the way, let's turn this release all the way up. And let's, while we're at it, do a little, I'm going to do the regular reverb because I just want a little bit more tail. It's a little bit too much. Let's put the decay time down a little bit. Because before, if you put dry wet to 0, good. Let's see what it sounds like an octave down. Where do we do that? I'm staying with simpler, because I always like to make sure that I know simpler just as much as sampler. Go to transpose, shift down arrow. That's fine. I like how it was. Go back to sample tab. Okie dokie, where are we going here? By the way, just so you know, you can always at any time, even without using this filter, like this is low pass filter. I'm going to leave it open because there's no reason for me to take out high frequencies. But because I've got this option here, I'm going to just to beef it up a little bit. Maybe even lower this volume down a touch because I added some volume with this drive. That just gives it more harmonics, more bite. So now let's start playing with this resonator device. So right now this sounds kind of lame. I'm going to give it some more decay so it rings out more. I don't like it on notch filter. So right now this sounds weird. So my thoughts is it's probably playing too high up, so I'm going to move the notes down. So instead of playing C0, let's play it down much lower. I'm going to put this up to 12. Push the dry wet up. Okay, this sounds like crap. I'm going to actually just turn filter off, see if it makes it sound any better. A lot of this is like making sure that you... It's kind of an interesting sound that you could resample in its own right, but let's go back to mode A. I think mode A sounds better. I'm gonna lower this. So right now it's just all wet, and I want to see if I can make this sound good. I guess this is a good method for giving it that, I guess there's like a bird that just flew on the thing. It's looking at me now. Maybe you saw that bird. Let's see, put it to 7. So it's good for getting like interesting textures, but using this bongo drum, maybe it's just better to add an extra resonating quality. So maybe you wouldn't want to go all the way wet with this one. But just for sake of not really feeling that, let's go with our friend Spectral Resonator before piecing out here. Gotta give it decay. See, it's too like whiny. And that just sounds like insane. It's like, no thanks. Listen how the high frequency damping, it's like attenuating the higher frequencies, helps with that. A little bit more decay. Let's play with this frequency. And if we want to play it across the keyboard, what do? Enact MIDI. But we're not getting anything until we select bongo. Listen to that. Put on poly so we can play chords. See, that sounds amazing. So basically, the moral of the story is now you know more about Resonator, but now you know about Spectral Resonator. And to be honest with you, I actually didn't know shit about Spectral Resonator. It was almost as like I was waiting to get to it after I did enough with things that I knew were more important. Like I knew collision was going to be more important for me to get a handle on first before I start playing around with Spectral Resonators. In fact, I think someone on one of my previous videos was like, good work, I like what you did. You could probably also run that through Spectral Resonators and get even other better results. And I was like, sounds like a good idea, but to be honest, well, I didn't actually say this. I'm like, this sounds like a good idea, but to be honest, I feel like I couldn't even really tell you if I knew for sure what Spectral Resonators does, other than what its name would suggest. But yeah, now I just love it. Let's put it down octave. Listen how slappy and punchy this is. You can even play like a chord. Put on mono. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. Spectral Resonators. If you didn't get anything from this, as long as you got that Spectral Resonators is pretty cool. But yeah, I would see what I would rather do is I would rather come into samples. See if I got a white noise sample. Riser white noise. I just want white noise. I have one somewhere. I'm going to do white. And I think if you do all results and you just do white noise. Ow, this is hurting my ears. Won't hurt your ears. I'm trying to find the white noise. There it is. Okay. So white noise. Remember how we like did it? And I was like, all you really need to do is just to make sure you can like loop. I'm going to go to internal. First, I'm just going to sculpt my white noise first. So what do we have here? Release is up super high. We want to be on loop. I'm going to come into here, and I want to, let's see, is this a really long note? Okay, good. I'm going to option drag it over here. Close this down, click play, and see where we're at. So this is just going to loop, but I need it to like actually loopy loop. So I need to create the loop. Doesn't really matter. I need crossfade. So let's see if it loops good for us. We're going to have to restart it. Let's give it some of that attack. And we just want this to play forever. Play. Lower the frequency. See, it's the same exact things as we would have done before. Now let's see if it loops. Like it. Now let's, I think what this orange here in the spectral resonators mean, I think that means like unprocessed. So it'll get bluer as we add some resonators. Now I don't like that because I don't like this like, what's it called thing. I could like modulate these parameters, but I want something musical. Let's go to unison too. Ooh, hear that? No, I just want two. Let's get chorus on. Turn down the mod rate. Go like up and down until it like hits your sweet spot. Dry wet. I want it to supplement this noise. See, now it's back to this orange down here. Now let's play with the reverb. So yeah, I mean, you can obviously use the reverb as a sound design thing too. To be honest, I kind of like just playing, what's it called? It's forever. So just so you know, it's playing this. So yeah. Let's go to audio effects. Phaser flanger. Go to Hertz. I want really slow. Maybe take the dry wet on the device down. Take the dry wet down. It's good to like take it all the way down, then bring it up. I remember like reading about, you know, when you're like a newer like music producer, and you're like, well, when do I use phaser? When do I use flanger? When do I use chorus? You know, and obviously like there's no answer to it, but nevertheless you like actually want to like know more, so like you know you can have a realistic idea of like when to use it. Like when you're working on, you know, when you're working on your stuff, you know, you want to know, of course. I don't blame you. Let's see if we can freeze this. I'm gonna stop it. Nah, unfreeze. Play. So I think we've done a lot here over these last few weeks, months together. Don't worry, I'm not saying goodbye. Someone was like, oh my God, is this like him saying goodbye? No, in fact, I haven't even started to see if this is even a realistic possibility for me. I didn't mean to rhyme there. But I will say that, no, I'm kind of like, I'm trying to, right now in my life, because I do like the 3D art, that's kind of like my biggest passion right now. I've been fortunate enough to be in a position where I'm able to dedicate a lot of my time to my creative pursuits, like Ableton, Blender. I like this sound. I want to give it more high frequency content. It's a little too much. I want to get a nice sound. To trail off to. Feels like we're missing something. Let's see. Screw it. So yeah, I am going to be making, basically, I'd like to just, it's really weird because all of these recent SDHOs, all of these recent sound design hangouts, have been pretty much just me getting ideas and being like, oh my God, I need to go play with collision because I haven't done that in a while. Or, oh, I need to explore all the areas of wavetable I haven't done before. And it just gives me an exciting feeling. I sit down, I start doing it, and I'm just like, my God, you know, I'd like to go on and share this because there's just a lot of amazing creative ways you can use Ableton Live, and only Ableton Live devices to get amazing sounds like we've seen. And these resonators, which, I mean, under the reverb and resonance folder, the reason why reverb and resonance are lumped together is because they basically give your sound an acoustic quality that gives it a sense of three-dimensional space. So when you have sample packs, you know, you've got samples, they're dry, meaning like there's no reverb in them. And you might say, well, reverb or a resonator, because a resonator basically does the same kind of a thing reverb does. So if you don't have a resonator or a reverb on like a dry sample, now again, if you have a sample of someone like hitting a glockenspiel in a room and someone's recording it with the microphone, well, you're going to have reverb, right? So unless you're like recording something with a microphone, you know, and it was a thing that happened in an actual space, if it's just like a dry sample, like you need to put some kind of like a device on it to make it seem like it was in a 3D space. Now, I know there's some of you who might say, that is not true. The music that I make is very cold, very dry, very pristine, cold cut. I don't want any of that stuff. I'm like, that's fine. But like for me, and just so I can kind of teach what this group is, it's something you would add to give it that 3D physical space to it. So you can use either of them, none of them, one of them. But I feel like these resonator devices and then the instruments, when you've got collision, tension, and electric, which I'm gonna start playing with tension. I haven't played with tension since that tutorial like 2 months ago, because I knew collision really had like the meat. I feel like collision's a lot more capable, but like tension is something I haven't done in a while. So I'm like, maybe I'll prove myself wrong. Electric is pretty basic because there's not as many controls, and it's basically kind of like electric piano sound, you know? Like you'll get different results, but they're not going to vary as wildly as, you know, a lot of the other devices. But in any event, we will get to it. We'll be doing more. I'm going to start doing a bunch of like straightforward tutorials where I'm literally going to be like trying to talk as little as possible, be as concise as possible, talk in one of those tutorial voices where it's like, and go to the filter, knock down the filter by about 300 hertz, go over to volume, take it down. You know what I mean? Like there's no bullshitting. That's why I'm doing all these SDHOs, because I just want to like hang out and have fun, but also like share this cool stuff. And pretty much all of these SDHOs, like the cool like main thing we did, I'll turn into its own tutorial when the time's right. But I'm kind of just playing, having fun, and I know you guys are as well. So if you enjoyed this, give a like, and I will see you on the next one. Okay. All right, going live. We gotta see where the puggy is. Oh, you chunky. He's good, pudgy boy. He's good. The only reason why he's not wanting the kiwis is because I already fed him. He's good. He's good. He's good. Good boy. He's good, little chunky.